Right, there's a few things we got to take care of here. I'm going to start working on the floors again. Get those, probably, I think I can get those in on this video. But there's so many little things I'm trying to handle. Like, it's really hard for me to do these videos because what happens is, it kind of messes up my whole, I usually just, if I do one thing for a little while, I'll kind of get tired of doing that because I'll go move to something else. I can't really do that when I'm doing these, so I have to push myself all the way through a project and through an area. So this is about ready for the second coat of primer, which it might get 3 because there's so much work done to it. I got some glazing on there that's all sanded down, but I don't want to mix up my primer until I have a few extra things to prime, because I'm kind of at the end of a gallon right now and I kind of need to mix up everything that's there. So I want to go ahead and finish getting that ready. That inner panel there. And then what else was I going to do? Going to figure out what I'm going to do here. I may end up doing this, this bottom edge from underneath the car, because we do have a car lift. If you were at home, you got to try and do everything you can before you put those floors in. But you have to do, I had to do this part ahead of time, which I've got my seam sealer on there. If you can see that, that's kind of brown there. I just use the OSI quad. It works really good as a seam sealer, but it just takes forever to dry. It really does, but it's a lot cheaper than seam sealer if you're using a lot of it. Underneath the car, I'll be using a lot of that stuff because it's a lot less expensive. And then I can just put it on everything. And it really seals, and it's paintable. So, and it doesn't have any silicones in it. So those are the things I look for. Some people say, oh, you use silicones. Oh, I wouldn't use silicone. Well, I don't use silicone. Duh. Okay, so it's funny. I get these comments that just crack me up, but it's fine. I want everybody to make comments. So, and it does help other people, but I don't want other people to get discouraged by them either. So I filled this in here where the antenna was. I don't run antennas on my cars. I just don't put them on there. Someday somebody may put an antenna on there, but I sure don't want a hole right there. And where do you put one that looks good, right? So hidden antenna or Bluetooth is the way to go. Then I got to finish up the front of this. All I got to do is bend that edge now, seam seal all this. Got to clean out here, paint that inside there, and then seam seal all that. I would seam seal it first, I'm going to put I put like a prime coat of paint on here. I'm just going to glob seam sealer all in there. Can't see any of it, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't rust out as quickly. It's going to rust eventually, but just because the way it is designed, because you have this layer of metal and you have another layer of metal over that, and there's no way to seam seal this edge at all. There's no way to get in there. So, because that ends up being right here. The other nose piece goes over it. I kind of remember now after doing these. So, that ends up rusting out eventually, but we'll try and make it not rust. But my guess is probably it will someday. So, I'll bend that edge down, finish that out. Don't know if I'll have all this stuff in the video, but that's just what's coming up. And of course, a lot of the stuff's on hyperlapse. I was really happy to see that you guys could see how that shrinking actually happened on that door. On the last video, the guys commented on that. Shrinking, actually, you could see the metal go down in hyperlapse. It's pretty cool. And it actually shrunk it down, about 1/8 of an inch. It looks like more than that, but it's really not that much. So anyway, this is almost ready to go in. Just going to fish that up. Do some filling here, do some sanding on maybe on that thing there, so I have some more stuff to prime than just one thing, and then I'll shoot some primer on some stuff. We'll move on to the next thing. with the same sealer, and I did all this stuff here with that. I just use the window and siding stuff. This stuff, again, it dries really slow, but look at what it looks like when it's dry, when it's hard and on there. It is super hard. It's still flexible, and for underneath in places where you don't need to paint it right away, it is paintable, but it does take a long time to dry. The OC quad or OSI quad, this stuff here, it just takes a long time to dry. So it's not meant for automotive, but it does basically the same thing. It's an oil base. It's not, or it's a urethane. Urethane or oil, one of the two. It smells like urethane to me, but it's pretty strong. It's not, you know, like regular household caulking. It's super strong stuff. But like I said, I wouldn't put it on something I was going to make it look nice to paint. So underneath I use it, stuff like that. So anyway, steering column loose, not out. I leave it in place. E-brake, I go over it. I leave it in. I'll put this in for you real quick. So e-brake in place. Steering column loose. It's easier when you have two people. Not today. So you said your floor's in. I remember where these things are at. These are, the frame rails almost line up exactly with these ribs right here for the seat stands where they connect. So a couple welds right in here, and then they don't connect up here, so it's just a couple, 3 welds maybe right here I need to put in place. I need to knock them in place. Loud with a hammer. I'm going to use a dead blow and a chisel. I'll show you guys real quick that, just so you know, you don't just drop them in and then people saw maybe the last video, they might be saying, hey, wow, that doesn't look like it fits right. You gotta fit it yet. You gotta fit. You gotta make them fit. It's all about that. Get them all to line up really good. It's going to take me a good half hour or so playing around with the hammer, and I'm going to make sure that my spot welds for these base pieces line up with the bottoms for roundwards over the dog leg. No, you guys can't really see that. I'll move you guys over here. We'll take a look. But I don't know if I use my tool, if it'll line up. So the spot weld holes are going to line up. I think usually they don't, if I recall correctly. And I've got a little ear right here that I've got bent up, which you need bent up for this little piece here. I've got to make that little thing. Those are always rusted out. So a lot of little fitting stuff, a little bit of fitting, every panel. Nothing just goes in place. It just, you have to take it in and out a few times sometimes. Several times sometimes. So that little thing there, because this opens up. When they ship these dog legs out, they don't have an opening right here, so I always open them up for that little thing to go up. All that little stuff. All the stuff you gotta do. It's a little off on some of my stuff. I notice it's hitting back here. So this is going to go forward a little bit more. I'm hitting on this corner right here, so I've got to bend that up or chisel it out of the way. It's not wanting to go all the way forward. Never had two of these fit exactly the same. I can tell you from experience. Tighten up that guy a little bit to where it looks like the original one did. A little bit of stuff I'm playing around with. I'm just kind of showing you guys a little bit so you kind of know what we're doing. Anyway, it's all kinds of stuff that I'm going to do. Just got to make them fit. Play around with them, get them to fit in place, and then start welding. You know, find a place that's lined up, and you know, sometimes I like to leave the old floor along here too, because then it's easier to put it in the right place. Because if you don't have that there, it makes it harder to line them up to me. But that's the way that I do it. Some guys are gonna be, oh, stacked metal, you don't get the same. Really makes very little difference, in my opinion. That's the way I've done them. Yeah, can you go underneath somewhere and see that? Yeah, if you're really observant, you know, if you're doing a full show car, maybe you probably wouldn't do that, but for your daily driver guy, just wants a floor. So anyway, that's how I do it. Fit them in, weld them, bring you back in a little bit. Alright, so we're back on video here. Anyway, the floors are all in here. The front floor is. I got some filler to finish on the sides here. Along there, it'll kind of cover up some of the ugly stuff there. I'll just blend it out, make it look alright. Yeah. On these floors, I don't look at it like some guys do. This is a floor. I'm going to have a mat over this. I'm not going to sit there and ruminate over everything on it. The other thing I need to do still is put in the pedal for the accelerator pedal. That's all part of the floor install. So when you buy your floor, don't forget to order that little piece that goes on for your accelerator pedal. So I got that to do. I'm going to check the holes when I put the clutch pedal in and all that. Of course, they're usually a little bit off, so all the times you got to put your pedals in and kind of run them up and down and make sure they don't rub. They'll rub on the top usually right here, and you got to grind out the floor a little, you know, just a little bit to make them fit. I got to do that still. So when I've kind of run out of battery and I've only got about 5 or 6 more welds to do, I don't really want to plug in the other one. I like to use the battery one because it's a little less, it's a little easier on your body. It doesn't throw stuff as hard. So just me. Anyway, that's it for this. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Let's get your floors put in. We're going to get this thing here put on. I just got to let this dry a little bit longer, and then I can put some paint on here. Well, I can actually, I want to paint behind right here mostly. Up here you can get to after that piece is on. And what I'm going to do is just weld it all in, and then I'll just cut off the remainder and then grind it the rest of the way and make it look good. It'll be easy. That's probably going to take me, it's a lot of welding though. It's probably going to take me a couple hours, because the time all those little tabs where you can see they're a little off, I'll have to kind of bend them out where I want them to be. And that's why I don't really want to cut them off until after I put the whole piece on. That's why I make them a little extra long. Thought ahead already, didn't I? Because just if you look at the new part for this, it's not just all the way around. It kind of goes out and then it goes flat, then it goes in, and it doesn't meet the same arc as this. So those little tabs, you're gonna have to make them a little extra long to make it work for that piece. We'll be putting that on next, and then we'll start on the lower nose, fabricate that. And then we still got the windshield again. You guys have been waiting for me to do this windshield. This one's a little tougher than some, because I'm going to have to take off all the way down to that seam. I usually try and not do that. I usually will butt weld right along here, because it's kind of hard to match that up and get it to look straight and right. But what I'll do is I just won't get into this little part, and I'll just make it in pieces. I'll make one piece for here to here, and then one piece from here to there. Actually, it'll go around and up to as well. So that's how I usually do that. It's all pieced together and then welded. Frankenstein. That's what guys used to say. You're the Frankenstein welder. Yeah, I do Frankenstein work, but it looks fine when it's done. It doesn't matter what's underneath, as long as it looks good and it lasts and it's long. Who cares? All the other stuff's preference, bragging rights, whatever you want to call it. Talk to you later. Next video. Let's please like and share and subscribe if you're new. Make sure you go back to the 67 West E and watch all the videos on this. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of stuff you guys can learn. A lot of stuff you can say, oh, I don't want to do it that way. That's fine. Up to you. But at least you'll see another way to do it. I'll talk to you next one.